I almost dread doing these reviews because we go see these major releases, and now I have this reputation. Mm-hmm. And now Oreo's doing the squeaky toy thing. No, we saw.
It's not time for record. It is time for the squeaky.
We saw X-Men: Days of Future Past. Oreo did not, but I have two things to address. The first is, I know it's been a while since the last review. I'm going to try to have it done by the end of the month. The reason it's taking so long is because I am reviewing, I believe it is 6 video games at once. It's a big review, so that's why it's taking so long. The second one, and allow me to be a little bit condescending for those of you in the YouTube cheap seats. This may be a longish video. I'm going to try to keep it shorter, but sometimes I have the tendency to ramble.
You sometimes talk.
I talk.
A lot.
I tend to talk for a while.
If you're new here, be warned.
You know, back in the day when I used to be funny, even then, I tended to talk a while. This thing we do, this thing that I did, and the thing that we do now, is not actually a review. This is not like Ebert at the movies, where it's like a 5-minute summation of the film. It's not a review, it's a discussion. You know?
We're basically talking about our thoughts that we had while watching the movie. Whether you find that entertaining or not is up to you, but whether you watch it or not is also up to you.
This is what we're talking about. It's a discussion, an analysis, if you will. It can be longer than the movie. That's allowed. It's I'm not comparing what I do to Shakespeare, but one can analyze a play. You can write an analysis of Hamlet that is longer than Hamlet. That's permitted. So when we bitch about Spider-Man 2 for longer than the movie, that's okay. So
it just goes to show how much we hated Spider-Man 2.
That just goes to show. Unsubscribe if you will. I'm done. We may ramble a bit. Hopefully not as long. But strap in. Jesus Christ. I can't believe I have to preface my reviews this way. Anyway. X-Men Days of Future Past. At the risk of sounding like I have not read these comics, I have read comics. I am not a huge X-Men fan. In fact, I don't like the X-Men.
I do. I'm a huge X-Men fan. I've been reading them since I was 10, 11. So, long time.
It seemed like every time I picked up the X-Men, they were in the middle of squeaky toys. It seemed like they were in the middle of one of the worst crossovers of all time. In fact, I don't know how the X-Men have ever maintained fans, because they have almost always consistently have had the worst events, like crossover events in comics history. Like Onslaught, which...
That was bad, but everybody knows that was bad. Come on.
Onslaught was like a 2-year storyline that was like the most horrible thing ever. It was awful. And it's like...
That's about where I stopped reading so much, so...
And then there's, like, characters that... What's, like, Zorn and Magneto? There's been characters who have been, like, retconned. Like Zorn was never supposed to be Magneto, but he was. There's Jean Grey, who's Phoenix. Like, Jean Grey has died, and, like, it's become the point where as many times as Jean Grey has died, it's become comical. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. She dies and resurrects a lot.
It's just by the X-Men's very nature that it's almost like a Bond movie in some cases, where like the mythos itself has become a formula, you know, that you can easily make fun of it.
No, I'm not saying that it isn't, but I always enjoyed it. I always liked the characters.
I know, okay. But, I don't know, it just always seemed like...
It was my favorite as a kid. I grew up on the 90s cartoon. I read the comics at the same time. You know, it was basically... I'm not going to say the thing that got me into comics because I read stuff before then, but it was the thing that got me to be a really big fan of comics. That's when I started... That's the thing that started me drawing. I would never have started drawing if it hadn't been for X-Men. I started, you know, drawing the characters, doing fan art before I knew what fan art was. That kind of thing.
You can't see it right now, maybe, but she was so excited to see this movie. She is wearing Magneto earrings.
They are. They're little, like, Magneto action figure earrings.
She has Magneto hanging off her face.
I also have a pair of Rogue earrings, but I didn't wear those because she was not really in the movie.
Oreo, please.
Not right now.
She is demanding attention.
Go lay down. If you throw it, she's just gonna want to play more.
She's... People love her. This is adorable. Okay. You know what? I figured out two reasons why I didn't like the X-Men comics. I must go on these tangents. The first is there were so many spin-offs to the X-Men. They really were overwhelming. I can
understand that. If you didn't start reading like almost everything from the beginning, you'd get lost.
What was funny is I don't think you necessarily had to follow them all. I just think it felt like you did. Like, I can't... Let me try to name...
You totally didn't need to follow them all. But, you know, people would show up in one or another, and then they'd reference things that happened in this one. And if you didn't read this one, yeah. And if you didn't happen to read that one, you wouldn't know what they were talking about sometimes.
Let me try to see if I can name even most of them. X-Force, Excalibur...
X-Factor.
X-Factor. Oh, Jesus. There were so many B squads. That's all I got, really.
And there were people who left and went to other teams. Like there's plenty of X-Men who were in the Avengers and things like that.
Were there other X
Beast was in the Avengers. Wolverine's in the Avengers.
But like teams with X, Generation X.
Generation X. Mm-hmm.
There's at least one I'm forgetting. But it was unbelievable, and that's not even counting like alternate dimension. There actually is in modern day there is an X-Men First Class comic.
There is now.
Yeah, there is now. There was a Weapon X comic. Then there's a Cable comic. Mm-hmm. I'm certain of that.
Of course.
I think there was a Bishop comic at one point. I know there was a Kitty Pryde comic.
Mm-hmm. There was the Kitty Pryde and Pete Wisdom spin-off from Excalibur, and
you get pretty much if there was a major character, I'm guessing there was one.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's not to say that they, sure, pretty much every major character, but yeah, at the time in the 90s when I was reading those comics, but okay, the second main reason was that Liefeld.
Yeah, Liefeld was...
And this was...
all over that shit in the 90s.
Liefeld was all over the X-Men in particular. It was awful.
Yeah, Cable looked kind of stupid.
It was bad.
He's good now, but he was dumb.
Liefeld's good now?
Not Liefeld, Cable.
I was like,
Liefeld is always awful.
I just remember him drawing Wolverine, and he drew it's in particular Cable.
Cable had arms.
Pouches on pouches.
And then arms bigger than his own head, and...
He fucking loved to draw Cable with the fucking flashy eye thing.
Well, that's part of his power.
What was it with the flashy eye thing? I never knew.
Part of his... It's like to indicate that he's using his mental powers.
Okay, I never knew what was up with that.
Mental powers.
People are gonna say, you never read the comics. I never read X-Men, so... Anyway.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like when current Marvel girl gets the Phoenix symbol around her eyes. It's to show that she's using her telepathic powers.
Actually, wait a minute. I did read Ultimate X-Men up until Ultimatum, and I regretted that choice. Fucking believe that. Mm-hmm. So, did you read the original Days of Future Past?
Yeah.
How close was this to the movie?
It wasn't.
Not at all?
No. I mean, for one thing, Bishop is a huge role in Days of Future Past.
They send him back, don't they?
Yeah, they send Bishop back in time, is what happens in that. And
I
believe, I'm not sure, I can't remember anymore how closely the 90s cartoon Days of Future Past follows the comic, but I've heard that they're pretty darn close. Like, that cartoon was the one that stuck closest to the actual canon.
I was gonna let her up here.
No.
Come here. Go on.
She knows I'm here and she doesn't want to come up because she knows I don't like her on the couch.
Go on.
Just leave her alone.
Oh my God. Come here. Keep talking.
I can't, you're being a dork. Anyway, yeah, it was all about Bishop going back in time, and I think in the cartoon at least, it's it's Forge who builds the time machine and sends him physically back into the past.
Forge. Oh my God, I forgot about that guy.
Yeah, and then something gets fucked up where he's he thinks the X-Men are responsible for. Will you stop it?
Okay, fine.
He thinks that the X-Men are the ones responsible, so he's like, oh, I've got to kill one of the X-Men, but which one? And then he finally lands on thinking it's Gambit. He has to kill Gambit because he thinks Gambit's going to kill the president, but then it's
Gambit?
Yeah, but then it actually turns out to be Mystique as Gambit, so.
Oh.
But I don't know how much that.
Well, that's I wouldn't have objected either way. Gambit's fucking annoying, but.
Shut your whore mouth.
Gambit is fucking annoying.
I will fight you in the street.
I have a little stick. Me.
I will shove a little stick up your butt.
Yeah, I noticed you didn't buy a Gambit set of earrings.
There weren't any.
There weren't?
No, and they didn't have Nightcrawler either. I totally would have bought Nightcrawler earrings.
Anyway. You notice I'm remaining mysteriously cryptic on whether or not I like this movie.
Oreo. Leave it alone. Go down.
See, I'm afraid now. I usually don't fear the fanboy response, but now it's not whether I like the movie or not. It's whether or not I liked it enough.
Yeah, yeah.
See, because
of course, you're using your mind powers right now to shoot through the screen and hit the YouTube watchers and force them to like what you like. And
right.
to dislike what you like.
Yeah, I forced my opinion on you, but I want to hear what you thought, because I don't want to influence you.
Okay.
So, go on.
I liked the movie. Although usually I hate it when they fuck with canon in any way, this did a good job of making their own canon.
Did a good job with fucking with canon?
Yeah, I mean, for you would have had to reestablish. You would have had to reboot the whole franchise to.
They did.
No, I mean reboot, start clean to make a completely accurate Days of Future Past. They were still building on what movies had come before. Mm-hmm. Everything still applied that had come before. So, with that canon that already established in mind, they did a good job with this movie and making it what it needed to be. Mm. There were a lot of characters who were just there as cameos, which made me kind of sad. I would have liked to see Bishop do something. I mean, seriously, he was instrumental in Days of Future Past. You don't just put him there and give him, 0 lines.
He didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything.
He was there to introduce the concepts of, we can send somebody back, a few days to warn us of a Sentinel attack, and then they're like, okay, we're done with you.
Yeah.
I
would have liked to see more of Blink, because she's one of my favorite characters, especially her appearances in Age of Apocalypse. I love Blink.
Yeah, she had by far one of the most interesting powers, and then she was kind of relegated off to the sidelines because in the future there was by far the most interesting action sequences.
Yeah.
Where she was involved. Mm-hmm. So, they had the best choreographed sequences. I think they sometimes just cut back to the future to have those sequences with the really cool mutants. Mm-hmm. And then just anyway, back to the go back to the past, so we're kind of talking and stuff,
I like this movie quite a lot. It's not the best movie I've seen this year. That still goes to Captain America: Winter Soldier. But I'd say after that, it's best. But that's again factoring in the fact that we've seen Spider-Man 2 and RoboCop. But we won't get into that. Yeah.
We're on the opposite end of the bell curve there.
I liked all the acting. I like the fact that they gave Halle Berry almost no lines. Because she is a terrible Storm.
Like, what did she say?
Why did you ever cast her, guys? Come on. There are so many better actresses who could have played Storm.
I'm trying to think of a line that she said. She said, no, but we can slow them down.
Yeah, that was about it.
I can't think of a single line she said other than that, and that's wise.
Yeah, that's...
Like, we can't stop that many of them. No, but we can slow them down.
Yeah, and that was enough. Thank you.
Well done.
Show her throwing some lightning, and I'm done. That's all I need.
Ian McKellen.
I really like Storm. She's another of my favorite characters, and Halle Berry does a terrible job with her.
Ian McKellen looks so tired.
He does look tired, but...
Then again, he's been fighting a war, but he looks really tired.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, Charles, I'm too old for this shit.
maybe Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart were too busy running around having fun times while offset.
See, I think instead of James McAvoy, they should have brought back the CG plastic Mr. Clean Patrick Stewart. You remember that?
No.
In X-Men, was it X-Men First Class when they had, or is it X-Men 3 when they had CG Patrick Stewart, like, wheel off the helicopter? It was the really, really fake looking.
I don't remember that, no.
It was like...
Maybe I didn't.
It was really fake pre-X-Men 1 Patrick Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like Mr. Clean. Like the animated Mr.
Like they were
Clean.
like, we have to make him look kind of young.
Yeah, we had to make him look like early 40s, but still bald. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They should have gone with that. I think
they should have given him like a comb over or something.
Yeah, like in that Star Trek episode where he's like that nightmare sequence where he's like got that big egg-shaped head, but he still has that really awkward comb over. That would have been great. No, it wouldn't have. It would have sucked. But
anyway,
safe to say that the remainder of this is spoilers.
Yeah,
there's spoilers.
Gonna be lots of them. Just the whole movie, basically.
You know, I don't. It's if you're all familiar with the, well, anyway, spoilers. So the future's fucked. And actually, first off, to say I'm surprised this is PG-13. This is a really violent movie.
There were a lot of stabbings and head crushings.
This is horrible.
There's no blood, really, but there's a lot of people getting their heads ripped off.
These people get mutilated. Mm-hmm. Fucking just destroyed. Like, there's no blood, but like that, I don't care.
People get melted.
These people get dismembered, crushed, annihilated. I don't care. Like, these people... one of the first shots we see is of, like, a bulldozer plowing the bodies of, like, hundreds of dead people into a ditch.
Yeah, that was pretty hard.
And I'm like, holy shit! That's fucking dark! And it's meant to be. But I'm like, already I'm like, like, that's a hard R right there, to me. That's, like... that's fucking... horrible. And I'm like, the imagery there is like Holocaust imagery. That's
kind of what it's meant to be.
It's meant to be, and I'm like, that's not lost on me here, you know. And I kept expecting like Magneto to be walking behind Charles, going like, "I told you so, told you so," you know. But and I kept thinking Terminator 2, but you're gonna anyway. Except seeing Kyle Reese running around like, "Where's Sarah? Where is she?" Does Sarah? No. But so like, the Sentinels are fucking badass. They're not like the big purple Sentinels you see in the cartoons. At least not yet.
Yeah.
Like, or at least not
in the future.
Before whatever. The Sentinels are like.
They're like Borg monsters, basically.
They're like they're actually kind of a really, really cool design, I gotta say. They're
I'm a traditionalist, so I didn't like them, but I understood what they were going for.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that we've seen that I'm guessing there's been. Yeah, I know what you're going for when you say Borg. They adapt to attacks.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like design, like what they look like. They're like basically like
Slender Man without the suit.
They kind of look at the Klaatu Barata Nikto type robots. Really, they're like about 16-foot
Not that big.
Yeah.
12.
12, 14, okay. Whatever. They're like really tall robots that kind of have like knives for hands,
They can have knives for hands. They don't always.
or they have like finger
They
knives.
can basically do every
everything.
power ever.
They're like shape-shifting robots that are black, and they have death rays for heads.
Yeah.
When they want to. And basically they're awesome, and they just adapt to counter whatever mutant power gets thrown at them.
So if you're shooting fire at them, they turn cold. If you shoot ice at them, they start melting with fire and all that stuff.
Which, you'd think they'd know this by now. So you'd think their automatic response would be to run away. And yet it's not.
Well, you can't really run. They can track you anywhere. Where are you
But they stand and fight, which is stupid. Right?
Well, you can't run fast enough. They're always going to be after you.
It's better than standing and fighting because they just adapt. So running seems like a much wiser option.
Yeah, but there's basically not many places left to run.
I know.
There's just so many of them.
Fighting, useless. Running,
Also useless.
Potential escape.
Not really.
Okay. Fighting, 0% chance. Running, greater than 0% chance.
They killed a few of them, so it's not exactly a 0% chance.
Whatever. So they adapt to anything that they throw at them.
Just about. I mean, there are still things they can't do. Like, if you teleport them, they're gonna fall or whatever. You can't... They can't mimic powers so much as just shapeshift because they have Mystique's DNA in them.
Okay, well, let me put it this way. They keep, like, for instance, like Pyro, or the guy who throws fire.
I'm not sure who it was meant to be, though. Sunfire, maybe?
Yeah, it wasn't Pyro, because, like, he's like the Human Torch.
Yeah.
But he's not the Human Torch.
No, yeah.
Anyway. So
I couldn't figure out who that was supposed to be, because...
He's Mr. Fire Guy.
It couldn't have been...
Pyro does not set himself on fire.
No, it's not, like, I thought it was Sunfire, maybe, but Sunfire's Japanese. Was that guy Japanese?
I don't think so.
Maybe they just didn't care. I don't know.
Anyway, the Human Torch, like, he's throwing his fire thing, and the Sentinel is just, like, not impressed.
Mm-hmm.
He turns himself to ice, and he's just, like, not impressed. So what does he do? He keeps throwing fire. And he keeps throwing fire. And he keeps throwing fire. And the Sentinel's just like, dude. And he's like, more fire! And I'm like, dude!
Well, to be fair, though, like, most of the fighting was meant as a delaying tactic.
I know that. But, like, the Sentinel just goes, dude, crush, and then discards it. And I'm like, dude! And then like Iceman is like skating around on his thing, and he throws ice, and he's like starts like pouring the ice on the thing, and the Sentinel turns to fire. What does he do? Ice! And the fire thing goes like, okay, dude, and ice! And he grabs him by the head and twists his head off, and I'm like, what? You fucking stupid? And this is why you run. Like, run away, and then like ice the door shut and try to get away. Like, I don't know. It was like, I get the idea that we're supposed to show these guys are completely outclassed and they adapt to anything, but I'm like, I get it, You'd think this would have been hammered into their skulls by now. I don't know. It made for kind of interesting fight scenes, but it just made them kind of look...
interesting fight scenes, but at the same time, if they had taken your advice, there would have been no fight scenes, and then that would have been kind of boring.
So you're telling me that I should just, like, look, do you want an X-Men movie or don't I?
Basically, yeah.
So, shut up and just swim through the plot hole. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Sorry, that's the way it's gotta be sometimes.
So you can't just have a chase sequence. There's no...
They did have some chase sequences. They had the sequence where Magneto puts the stuff all over the door so that they can't get in, but of course they're eventually gonna get in.
So you can have a fight sequence there. But, I'm just saying... okay, but this leads me to the horrible fucking dismemberment scenes where, like, the ice Sentinel, like, grabs Mr. Fire Guy and, like, crushes his head.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay because he's the Human Torch at this point, so we don't actually see a human being get his head literally crushed.
Yeah, you're not seeing eyeballs pop out or anything.
Yeah, and then we see Iceman get, like, his head fucking...
He gets his head shattered off.
Get his head twisted off and then discarded. And
then
like,
he steps on it.
Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. I find it weird with the things that they think are acceptable. Like, as long as you're not, like, looking at, like, a person spraying arterial blood, it's okay. Like, it's still a person. Even though they're using powers to make them look less human, it's still a human being
And then
getting their head ripped off.
Yeah, and then there's, like, what's his name? Trailblazer or something like that?
Warpath.
Warpath. I'm sorry, Trailblazer. Warpath. Like, one of them, like, grabs him by the chest. And
that one was bad. Oh.
Which one? Like, there's one where he, like, grabs him and then holds him in front of his death ray head.
Yeah, and then
just goes, ah!
Yeah, melts his fucking
And then just, like, death rays him, and the top of his torso just gets, like, death rayed off.
Yeah, that was really fucking nasty.
And you see his head just be, like the Dolby guy. You know that scene with like, the guy in the chair who's just getting blown back like a jet engine. Mm-hmm. You see his, like, the top half of his torso just get, like, blasted off, and I'm like, oh!
Yeah, that was pretty gruesome.
It's fucking horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And you see one of them get, like, triple penetrated by, like, 3 blades, like, inside, and that was like a person. Like, that wasn't like Iceman getting snapped in half.
No,
and
that happened to Blink.
She was like a person getting impaled. I'm like, that's not.
As long as there's no blood, it's fine.
Whatever.
For kids.
Colossus gets fucking...
He gets torn in half.
Colossus gets torn in half, but it's okay, because he's made of metal.
Yeah.
And I'm like... And actually, that's not spoilers, because there's so much time travel in this movie. Like, everything gets undone 3 times, so...
Yeah.
But I'm like, everyone dies in this movie, and they die bad. Mm-hmm. I was sitting there going, like, this is a hard R movie. How did they get away with this? Mm. I don't care if they're made of rock. Like, Jesus Christ. I'm sitting there, I'm, like, legitimately kind of freaked out. Like, if I saw this as a kid, I wouldn't be able to watch this.
Really? I don't think it would have bothered me that much. And I was a really squeamish kid, but...
I wasn't. This would have freaked me out. Like, I don't know if I told you this, but I don't know. Like, one of my favorite scenes of all time is the scene in RoboCop where the guy gets fucking jackhammered by Ed 209. It's one of my favorite scenes now, but back then, I could not watch that shit. Because my parents, a lot of parents don't let their kids watch R-rated movies. Because, you know, that's sort of the thing where, like, violence in movies, you know, that's a big problem. You know, they're like, you know...
It'll warp you.
It'll warp you, so I'm not going to let my kids watch R-rated movies, because that causes problems. You know, I don't want my kid to be violent, so I'm going to be, like, really, really strict. I'm going to watch my kids, make sure they're not going to be influenced by this. I'm going to make sure, you know, I'm going to watch everything they watch, make sure, strictly control what they watch. My parents didn't give a shit. Because, they gave a shit, but the thing is, you know, I had 2 much older siblings, so it's not like they could police everything that I watched, because, you know, I had an older brother and an older sister, so they were going to watch whatever they wanted to watch. It's not like they were going to send me to my room whenever they wanted to watch a movie. So I was going to watch R-rated movies.
That's what my mom would have done. If I wanted to watch a movie, and my little brother couldn't watch it, like, I had to watch it if he would either have to go out of the room or I couldn't watch it.
Really? Mm-hmm. That sucks. Mm-hmm. That really sucks.
Because I'm 8 years older than my brother, so...
Wow.
Yeah.
That blows.
It didn't help. He's still warped.
Anyway, so, like, one of the first R-rated movies I ever watched was RoboCop. And at that moment... when fucking Ed 209 just drills that guy and keeps drilling him on that table, and I'm like, oh my god! I'm sitting there and I'm like...
Imagine Tiny Spoony.
I'm sitting there going, oh my god! And I'm like, I can't watch this. I fucking fled the room. I can't even remember how, I'm like probably like 6, 7 years old. I'm not equipped for that shit.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Like... And I never wanted to watch an R-rated movie, like, not for years. Mm-hmm. So that was a problem that policed itself, motherfucker. Like,
yeah. Let your kid watch the horrifying movie.
Yeah.
They won't want to watch it anymore.
Dude.
They've had a couple nightmares.
Your kid wants to watch a narrated movie, pop in fucking RoboCop. Dude, that problem will solve itself.
Except I don't know if it would work at this point because kids who are our age, who are like 6, 7 years old now, are already playing GTA and shit, so.
Well, you know what? Actually, the first movie that legit freaked me out was Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, yeah.
Melting Nazis.
Melting Nazis.
You know what that movie was rated?
PG.
PG.
It's because there was no PG-13 yet.
The Melting Nazis was PG.
Mm-hmm.
P-fucking-G.
They didn't even come up with PG-13 till like.
It was in response to that.
Yeah, and then they're like, there's gonna be heart tearings out in the next movie, so we need it to be a higher rating.
Yeah.
But we don't want it to be an R.
You watch Raiders of the Lost Ark again, the people who get fucking murdered in that movie, there's people who get fucking murdered in that flick. That's a PG movie.
Mm-hmm.
But the melting fucking Nazis, when like, I could not watch that movie. When Indy says, like, no matter what happens, Marion, don't look, that, like, as a kid, that's good advice. You're like, whatever happens, Marion, keep your eyes shut. I'm like, ah! You did not want to look. Anyway, like, if I saw this as a kid, like 6 years old, fuck that. I'm watching Colossus getting his fucking metal ass ripped in half. No. This was horrible.
Yeah, that was pretty scary.
Like, this was fucking dark. Now, I'm watching it now, I'm like, this is awesome. But, like, this is me, like, now, as a kid. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, if you've got little kids, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
They probably read the comics already. So.
PG-13 this is actually a pretty good guide. Under 13 years old, like, okay, under 10 years old?
I wouldn't let an under 10 kid see it, probably.
Under 10 years old, I would be careful with this.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Although I'm kind of doubting most of the people watching this have kids under 10 years old.
Oh, I don't know about that. There's a lot of people with kids who watch my stuff. Anyway, but yeah, seriously, in terms of violent content, this is a violent movie. This is really violent.
I feel like you're exaggerating a
little.
No. It was nowhere near as violent as, say, Winter Soldier. Nowhere near.
No. Oh, man, this is way more violent. Name something that was more violent in Winter Soldier.
There were like a million fight scenes in that where people were getting shot.
Shootings are no... Honestly, a shooting is so commonplace in movies nowadays. That's... Somebody gets shot and they fall down.
Mm-hmm.
That's no... People get fucking torn in half. And they get torn in half slowly. Like, those things... Like, one sentinel grabs him by the legs, one sentinel grabs him by the arms, and they pull him like taffy. And the guy is like... And they fucking, like... It takes place over the span of, like, 10 seconds in this flick.
I must just be desensitized, because I didn't...
Yeah.
I didn't... It did not affect me the way it apparently has affected you.
And then, like, fucking Bishop is, like, getting death rayed from 3 different angles, and he's like, ah! Yeah, and he explodes?
Which, that part I didn't like just because it was stupid. I mean, Bishop's entire power is to absorb power and then shoot it back out again.
And then one of them gets...
Why would that happen? Like, they really overloaded him? Come on.
And then one of them gets fucking impaled 3 ways, and you watch her, like, death rattle until she dies. Like, this is fucking violent. Getting shot, like I said, like, getting shot, dead. I'm not saying it's, like, it's violence either way, but these are fucking, like, stabbings, impalements, dismemberments. Mm. There is a level
I guess just for me, like, it really is the lack of blood. There's no blood, there's no organs.
There's no blood in Winter Soldier, really.
Still. Like, especially for amount. Like, all the stuff we're describing here happened within the span of, like, 5 minutes.
See, I don't get that distinction. I mean, that's the whole MPAA thing where it's like, well, it's not violent if there's no blood, and it's...
No, I mean, I can see that too, but again, it wasn't like the whole movie was violent. There was 5 minutes, and this was at the very end where things were getting bad, and we thought the world was over, and they were gonna fail.
That's at the beginning, too.
The beginning, not really, no. Because then the time reverses, and they're like, haha, we win anyway.
But that does... Still, as a kid, you don't know that. It's like, never mind. I'm just saying, it's like those scenes of violence are so... And I'm not even that much of a prude when it comes to violence, but like, wow, that was fucking violent.
I didn't see it that way.
I guess. Anyway, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is the analysis that we give you.
The differing opinions.
The differing opinions. But, I mean, we're all free to have our opinion, even her, whose is wrong. Anyway, so they decide that this future sucks. You know, it's kind of cool to look at, but you wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah, no.
So they figure that, oh, by the way, we can time travel. What?
Kind of.
Kind of.
What I want to know is, where the fuck did this come from? Where did Kitty Pryde...
When did she learn to do this?
...get this ability to... Like, she phases through matter. Why is she suddenly able to send people back in time?
When did she learn telepathy?
Like, I don't know. Did I miss something in the comics? I'd swear the only thing she can do is matter phasing.
Who does the time travel in Days of Future Past? Did Bishop always know how to... Or did Cable or Bishop? Who knew how to do this?
Forge
knew how to do
built
this.
a time machine.
So why couldn't...
It wasn't like consciousness being transported back. It was just you take your body and you go into the past.
So why couldn't they just introduce Forge?
I don't know. I think he might have been in one of them. Wasn't he in something?
In one of the X-Men movies?
Was he in First Class?
No. At least if he was, he wasn't anything...
I'd swear that Forge was in something.
If he was in First Class, they didn't make anything of him.
No, I guess not. Maybe I'm remembering something wrong, but... Yeah, I don't know why they didn't just introduce Forge.
They could have just been like... Well, I'll tell you why. Is because they had to give him a time limit.
Mm-hmm. They didn't want two Wolverines running around in the past.
That's true.
Like, he just woke up inside his own body in the past.
They still could have done, like, the time machine where he's like, oh, we're going to put you in this time machine, it's going to transfer your consciousness.
Yeah, except they just pulled it out of Kitty Pryde's ass for some reason.
But the reason they had to do it was because they had to do something to where, like... They still could have done a thing where, like, the clock in San Dimas is always running. You know what I mean? Where, like, time still moves in the present as time moves in the past. Basically, what the problem is, they send Logan back into the past, but time still... The clock in San Dimas keeps going forward. The time in the future is still going. So he has to solve this in the past before the Sentinels kill them in the future. Mm-hmm. Which makes no sense.
Yeah, that's the problem with time travel, isn't it?
It makes absolutely no sense. But basically he has to solve this before the movie ends. That's pretty much literally what it means. So he's like, you've basically got like 70 minutes to solve this. Otherwise the movie will end and we all die. That's pretty much it. So
I'm still hung up on why Kitty Pryde.
Well, I'm getting there. So, like, I don't know why Kitty Pryde has to do this, but, like, I think it's mainly to get... Is it Ellen Page?
Yeah. In
the movie. Because otherwise Kitty Pryde has nothing to do.
Well, why? She shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Exactly my point.
Like, if you're going to use mentally stuff, Professor X should have been the one doing that.
Yes. And I don't... And, well, the thing is, and then they do this thing where, like... It should have been. Because then they have to do this weird thing where Professor Xavier is in the future and talks to himself in the past. Mm-hmm. But he has to do this... He has to do this through Wolverine, through the time link, through Kitty, and then to himself.
Mm-hmm. It's very complicated.
Which is very metaphysical. And you're like, well, it should have just been Xavier through Logan. It could have... Like, there's this weird, unnecessary... like, intermediary step. Why was this... I just really think... I think... This screams of a rewrite to me.
Maybe. Like, they had to add something...
I don't know why Kitty Pryde had to do this.
No.
Because this whole thing is like, there's a telepathic function to this,
And do please correct me if I'm wrong, if she, like, in some comic developed a secondary mutation where she could do this? I don't recall this.
She has a dragon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that something to do with psychic powers?
No, that's in Excalibur. She has that little dragon.
And she's trained as a ninja, I know that.
She's trained as a ninja.
But I don't remember anything to do with psychic powers.
Mm-mm.
But, like, the whole thing where the psychic link, that's Xavier.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me like in the first draft it had to be Xavier.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point they changed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why.
Yeah, I was confused.
Yeah. I got nothing on that one.
Yeah, I did not like that part. It made no sense to me.
Anyway, so they apparently at some point there's a character trait where they have this ability they pulled right out of their ass where like they're like, well, we can send someone's consciousness back to themselves at some indistinct time period to warn themselves of something.
Mm-hmm. And then we can avoid.
And then we can avoid it.
Mm-hmm. Which is what they've been doing to avoid Sentinel attacks. But.
Yeah. So, they're like, we've been sending Bishop back a few days to warn us of impending Sentinel attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like...
So then they clear out before it happens and then nobody dies.
Yeah. So they're like, well, this plan is kind of sucking so far because we can't keep doing this. And they're like, well, gee, time travel. What if we use this to go further back and stop the war against the machines before it starts? And they're like, that might work, but because of reasons, that would kill whoever did. And I don't know how they know this.
Yeah. Kitty says that she can do, like, a week to a month back, but if you tried to put someone back decades, it would shred their mind or something.
Yeah. And I'm like, how do you know that?
Yeah, did you try?
Have you done it?
Maybe they tried and didn't say.
How do you know that?
And apparently, like, trying to put Professor Xavier back, even though he's the most powerful telepath on the planet, would just kill him. So Wolverine's like, send me, nothing kills me because I'm Wolverine. So you can shred my consciousness like cheese on a grater and I'll be fine. And they're like, yeah, okay.
I still like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
I don't know how he knows that. But actually, this is the first plausible explanation I've ever heard for them sending Logan back into the past.
Usually there's not a good reason to send Wolverine in the past.
They've done this in comics so many times. They send Logan back in time for no reason. This is not in the movie. This is in the comics. They keep doing this. Like, he's the least qualified motherfucker to do this.
Yeah.
Finally, in this movie, there's a reason for them to do this.
Yeah.
They're like, he's the only guy with a healing factor, and we need that because anyone else's mind will burst into flame. And I'm like, I can survive that. And they're like, oh, good.
There we go.
Finally, okay,
Finally,
good.
There's a reason to send the least qualified person back in time.
He's like, me caveman, me survive this. And they're like, they kind of look at each other and they're like, all right. And so they're like, they try to like spell it out very slowly. And they're like, okay, you're going to meet me in the past. I will have hair. And he's
gonna be a whiny douche.
You have hair? I don't understand, Bob.
Nobody understands the hair.
And he's like, okay, here's a picture of me. Oh. And then he's like, and then you'll meet me in the past. Snicked?
Oh, stop it.
And I don't understand, Bob. It is, I will look like the guy from Inglourious Bastards. I will be a much different actor.
And I'll still be an asshole.
I will be a huge asshole. Oh, I see, Bob. So they're like, you'll have to deal with us being colossal douchebags. And he's like, okay, Bob, I can do that, Snicked.
Shut up.
So he gets on the little Chinese altar, and this will be incredibly painful. Hey, Bob, shouldn't you hold me down in some way? I'm only incredibly powerful with mutant powers and adamantium claws, so in case I thrash around, I don't grievously injure one of you.
Nah.
Nah, okay.
You'll be fine.
Okay. Snicked. Oh my god, that hurts! Snick, bub! Ah! Oh my god, I just impaled Ellen Page with my snick bub.
Would you stop that?
It's what he does. He's the best there is at what he does. And what he does isn't very snicked. So he snicks into the past. And he wakes up in his own body. And when I say he wakes up in his own body, I mean he gets up buck-ass naked. Yeah,
we see his ass. Again, I think they knew what the audience wanted to see there.
And oh my god.
It's full ass. Full non-frontal, if you will.
I don't want to hear shit about this year about, like...
I kind of appreciated that. Although technically Mystique is naked all the time, you don't really see anything.
I don't know what her deal is, by the way. Why the fuck does she do that?
I don't know.
It's gotta be fucking freezing.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Besides,
her outfit from the comics is so fucking cool. Why would you not want to wear that awesome dress?
Gotta be freezing her blue titties off. Anyway.
Yeah, look, so we get Wolverine ass.
He's just airing his fucking bub out. He just stands in front of the window. He's like, And I'm like, oh! Fucking hairy ass Logan there. He's actually not that hairy. I got a good look at it.
He's not actually hairy enough to accurately portray Wolverine.
I got a pretty good look at it. It's like one of those things where like I wasn't looking, but you can't look away. Swear to God. Anyway,
you're now gay for Wolverine.
He pops his bone claws. And then there's a bunch of I don't even know what the fuck he was doing.
Like he was in bed with some chick, and then mobsters run in, and she's like a mob princess, and they're like, "You're not supposed to have sex with mob princess," and he's like, "Oh,
what you gonna do about it, bub?" Yeah. And
they're like, "We're gonna shoot you," and he's like, "Ha ha ha! Just give me your car keys." And they
I need your clothes, your boots.
Yeah, they of course confront him, and he just beats their asses and takes their car.
But we must fast forward. So he goes to meet Xavier, who can walk now. This was the biggest problem I had with this movie.
Yeah, this was dumb.
Like, apparently, like, Xavier is just a complete wreck now after getting shot and paralyzed.
And everybody leaving.
Yeah. So his life sucks now. So he's become a complete drunk and douchebag, and his hair is oily. And that's the biggest crime of all, really.
Oily hair.
And he's English. And there's really nothing you can do about that. I mean, really. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, English people. You're just going to have to stay that way.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and he lives apparently with Beast. That's it. It's just him and Hank McCoy in the mansion being bachelors, I guess.
Wait, when did he become, like, Bostonian and Kelsey Grammer?
Yeah, that's a good question. They never explain that.
He's kind of this normal guy, and then he's
just a normal guy, and then later on
he becomes Frasier.
He's Frasier Beast.
Yeah,
this, he's got this thing going on where he takes a drug to suppress his mutant powers, and then he hulks out and becomes the Beast.
Yeah, he turns into he's the Hulk now.
Mm-hmm. It's very confusing.
Well,
at what point does he stop becoming like? If he stops taking that, does he just always become the Beast? I'm confused because in the
thing suppresses his shit.
Yeah.
It suppresses his splooness.
And yet, this is the same stuff that Xavier is taking. It suppresses his mutant powers, but for some reason that helps him walk.
It makes him walk.
Like, there's still a bullet lodged in his fucking spine, but if he doesn't have psychic powers, he can walk.
That is... this was the biggest problem I had with the whole movie.
Yeah.
That is... they explain it something to do with, like, his therapy, and he's like, it affects my DNA... And suppressing the shit helps my shit, and it helps my walking shit. And I'm like...
It made no sense.
And I'm sitting there going, this makes no sense.
Like, even if he had just had, like, canes and been able to walk a little, I would have accepted it. But just being able to run around, like, however much he wanted, like... If that shit works, why isn't he still using it? Go jogging, and then when it wears off, use your powers again. Seriously. You could walk anytime you want, as long as you don't need to do anything with your psychic powers.
I don't need it.
I would like schedule weekends for myself. Like, I'm gonna go take a walk this weekend. So don't try to reach me on the brain comm.
Well, maybe he does. I don't know. But yeah, this made absolutely no sense. How, like, if he stops being a psychic, his legs work.
Yeah. That
what the
sense.
fuck?
Maybe they just didn't want to have the actor in a wheelchair the whole time. I don't know.
No, this was the thing where, like, in Spider-Man, where I was like, I don't know, I wasn't paying attention. I thought maybe that I wasn't paying attention. No, I was paying attention, and I didn't get it. Mm-hmm. Like, they said something about, like, my therapy and my DNA and this shit.
They kind of blew past it with...
They were just like, meh, serum, and I'm like...
Yeah.
What? Because he
tossed a little non-techno-babble in there, and... For reasons.
Yeah, this was a huge problem, and the main reason I think they...
And it made no sense. You could have easily had his reluctance to use his psychic powers there while still having them. Like, the brain has defenses. He could have, like, shut it down himself, basically.
Yeah.
You didn't need to add that at all.
Yeah, they were trying to put some kind of character arc in there, I think. Mm-hmm. And it might have been artificially
get off the crank and the alcohol, Professor X.
Yeah, they were trying to do this thing where, like, they were going to have some kind of, like, big breakthrough moment where he overcomes his fear. Mm-hmm. And, like, you know, he's like, we need you back, Professor. You need to, like, we need you finally. We need you at your full potential to help us find Mystique, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like, but we need you to get off the smack.
Yeah. Like, they even have a scene where he's, you know, tying off his arm. He's tying off. And shit.
And he's like, am I ready to make this? Am I ready to sacrifice my legs for this? And I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't buy it. You know, this... You shot yourself in the spine last movie. This is... You can't do this. You know, this is... You can't just give him his... You can't unparalyze him. Mm-hmm. This is something you can't come back from. I mean... And this is considering you have a series where there's mutants. You could pretty much hand wave this away, literally, with a mutant who could hand wave this away. Mm-hmm. And then you did this thing with, like, some kind of weird ass serum.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe you could do a thing where, like, there's a mutant who could keep doing this shit, and I don't know. But, like, yeah.
Yeah.
This was, yeah, like you said, you could do this thing where, like, Xavier loses his powers because he can't focus.
Yeah, or he's so afraid that he's given himself a mental block.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure has happened in comics with various telepaths, because, you know, it's your mind. That's exactly what controls your powers. So if you're having problems with your mind, you're going to have problems with your powers. Yeah.
So, but I guess it wasn't illustrative enough or symbolic enough for Bryan Singer, you know.
Yeah, they just had to have him drinking whiskey and shooting up all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
feeling sorry for himself and wearing ratty bathrobes.
And I can sympathize with the problem there. If I'm making a movie, it's like we have to give him something like tangible, something that the audience can relate to, that he's giving up. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that he has to make a sacrifice to be able to do this. I get that. I get that, but it's like, yeah, he's paralyzed. Sorry. You know, you gotta come up with something else.
Besides, if I found a way to not be paralyzed, I would not be that depressed. I'd be pretty fucking happy.
Yeah, he's all drunk, you know, and I'm like, okay, you lost your girlfriend.
I lost my beautiful girlfriend, and all of the students went to Nam.
Right. But
I can walk.
And by the way, you know, if you lost your girlfriend, you might want to try being psychic so you could find her. Dumbass.
Yeah, especially since it's not like, oh, the minute you stop taking this, it'll never work again. They never say that or anything, so he could just be psychic whenever he wanted, and then go back to walking.
And I'm not saying that so you could be a creepy stalker, but it seems like he's kind of curious to know where she is, so, like, I'm kind of saying that to be a creepy stalker, because he seems pretty desperate to find out where she is. He's like, I don't even know where she is anymore.
He's still got her picture on his dressing table and stuff.
She could be anywhere, though. How does she even know? I just want to run and play with this ball.
Yeah. He's not doing a whole lot of walking since he's drunk all the time.
Hank. Anyway. Yeah, he just spends all the time falling down stairs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, way to use your fucking walking gift, bro. I like how everything in the X mansion is X-themed.
Oh, yeah, there's little X hedges.
Hedges and tables. I'm like, you're taking this way too far, bro. Mm-hmm. Anyway. So, it takes surprisingly little for Logan to convince them of the I come from the future thing.
Yeah, they accept that pretty darn quick, actually.
Which honestly, I didn't mind.
That's fine. I didn't want to sit through half a movie where he's trying to convince them.
Yeah.
Although, like, I was expecting, like, before he went to the past, for Xavier to say something like, "Tell me this, and then I'll believe you."
Yeah.
Like, that's what I was expecting, but that didn't happen. He just tells him stuff about himself, and he believes him. So
I was kind of dreading that, honestly, because I was really dreading, like, half the movie. Him chasing them and going like, "You gotta believe me," you know.
Yeah, like, yeah.
But
they actually accepted it pretty quick for, relatively.
At least Xavier told him something that like, "I'll believe you if you tell me this." But I was hoping that he would just be like, "Oh, you're telling the truth." Like,
yeah. Yeah, except he couldn't because he was on the smack.
Right. So, Magneto is back in his plastic prison, which brilliantly they've put in one of the major seats of government.
Yeah, it's...
That, I don't see how that could possibly go wrong.
No, yeah. If an escape attempt here, what could that do?
We're only putting him in the building that houses, like, the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Mm-hmm.
And put him in the middle of the fucking Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, if he breaks loose, he could only cause, like, widespread destruction to one of the major government intelligence centers in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that seems stupid. I'm sorry, just like, I don't care how deep in a hole you put him in. Can you imagine the shit he could do?
Yeah.
But, like, I did like the conspiracy theory they float that the reason they put Magneto down there is that he killed the president.
Yeah,
they killed JFK. Because the bullet curved.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's pretty funny. But this does lead to they're like, to stop this future thing, they have to get Charles and Magneto together to stop this, because the whole thing is triggered by they believe the whole thing starts with the development of the Sentinels.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sentinels are created by Trask.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name?
Bolivar
Trask. And what
played
happens?
By Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. Very, very interesting.
With the porn stash. That was.
He looks like Ron Burgundy.
He does look like Ron Burgundy. It was pretty epic.
Yeah. The greatest. This is going to win Oscars for the best mustache of the year. So what happens, they believe, is that Mystique shoots Trask, which causes this escalation in the Sentinel program. And
yeah.
Yeah.
We were right. See, they're dangerous. Now we have to unleash them, and then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, shooting Trask is what convinces them that they're dangerous, not Magneto going on top of the Statue of Liberty and unleashing a gigantic magnetic mutation wave, not the whole...
Did they know he did that? I don't think anybody knew Magneto did that.
Who cares? There was a mutant got on top of the Statue of Liberty and unleashed a giant magnetic mutato wave. Then there was... whatever happened, then there was the mutant who broke into the White House and held a dagger at the president's throat with his prehensile muto-tail.
Yeah, but that's in the future. We're still in, like, the 70s here.
And then there was that one time where Magneto floated the Golden fucking Gate Bridge and broke into fucking Alcatraz. Yeah, now, the mutants are fucking dangerous now. But, they shot Trask. That's problem.
That's the past. You're putting the cart before the horse here.
But anyway, yeah, because Mystique shot this one guy, now mutants are dangerous. We're afraid. So they're like, okay, we have to stop Mystique, because if we stop Mystique, then at no point in the future will we consider mutants dangerous. There will never be at any moment in the immediate future mutant on human violence. That's all I'm saying. And surely this Trask fellow will abandon his pursuit of anti-mutant weaponry. You know.
Well, they show that he gets discredited for, like, selling state secrets at the end, so...
I realize this, but still, like... They didn't know this.
No.
At the time.
No.
They were, like, really, really blindly optimistic.
Well, now that I realize, like, if they think they have to stop Mystique, why would they need to bust out Magneto?
I don't know.
I just realized that. Like, wouldn't that be more of a problem?
It would indeed, because now you've just unleashed the fanatical Magneto on the world.
You know, back then he was in, like, his glory days of people hating, so...
Yeah, he was on his supreme jihad mode. When all you need is Charles.
Yeah, just get Xavier to stop her. But, yeah, man. I hate it when I find plot holes afterwards.
Yeah, so you hate this movie then?
No, I still like it. Don't be a dick.
No, I pretty much talked you into hating it.
No, you didn't.
I win. I won! No,
I don't hate it.
She hates this movie.
There's a plot hole, that's all.
I'm telling you, she hated it. Anyway, now, didn't need to break Magneto out, but that does result in the best scene in the movie. Which,
I thought of another thing. Like,
oh, what?
Okay, well, so to get him out, they're like, how could we get in there? We can't get into the Pentagon. That's hard shit. And Wolverine's like, I know a guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The best scene in the movie.
And then they go and get Pietro, basically.
Yep.
Except they just call him Peter in this.
Yeah. So they get...
But, how does Wolverine know him?
I'm guessing they just meet at some point in the future. They have to.
I guess. That's not been...
After X-Men 3.
Yeah, okay.
They have to.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway,
so this leads to the best scene in the movie, where he's really the best character in the movie.
he's pretty damn funny.
So yeah, he's doing all this shit where, you know, he knows it, as soon as they walk in the door, he knows everything about them because he's stolen their wallets.
And looked, yeah, so fast that they didn't notice.
They haven't noticed.
He's playing ping pong with himself.
So they're like, oh, okay, we need you to break into the Pentagon.
Beating Metroid in 5 seconds or whatever.
Yeah. They're like, we need you to break into the Pentagon, and he's bored by everything they have to say until they say that, and he's like, ooh. So he's doing it because it's fun, you know. So he's breaking Magneto out, and, you know, it's really fun watching that scene because, you know, there's guards about to shoot him, and he literally picks Magneto up and, like, runs him down the hallway at, like, warp 9. And then there's guards about to shoot them. And so they're fucked. They're just fucked, all of them. And so the guards open fire, and then we switch to Quicksilver's point of view. And then there's, like, this musical montage of him just watching the bullets moving at, like, just
super slow-mo.
Super duper duper slow-mo. And he literally just starts walking through, starts walking.
He's like, strolling around.
Yeah, if I could save time in a bottle.
Yeah.
And he's just like walking around the room.
The bullets around.
He pushes the bullets around, and then he starts fucking with the guards.
Yeah.
He like gives one a wedgie.
He puts another's like fist in his face, and
yeah. He like points the guns at everyone else, and he wedgies one and
takes another guy's hat.
Yeah, he puts one guy's hat on. He's tying shoelaces together.
Yeah, he's just having a good old time.
He puts pots on a guy's head and stuff like that. It's just fucking amazing. Best scene, and then time speeds up again. The bullets are just hitting the walls,
and then everybody falls down.
Everyone, like the guy puts his fist against the guy's face. He punches himself in the face. Everyone gets pistol whipped by each other, and so everyone's just standing around, and he's just like, And I'm like, they need to make a movie about this guy. If they just made a movie where he's just like bopping around doing this shit, this would be the great.
That was pretty fun.
It was a great scene. I was like, by far, if you're gonna remember anything about that movie, that was gonna be it. I wish there was more of that. Although at the same time, probably not, because it would have made that scene a lot less special. But
yeah, can't overuse it.
Yeah, still, that was great. Wow, that was a really great scene.
So and then there's a throwaway line where he's like talking.
I
to
hated
Magneto.
this line. I hated it.
You hated this line?
I hated this line.
I wondered how they were going to address it, because he's like, oh yeah, you can control like metal. My mom knew a guy who could do that.
Hated it.
And
If you're not going to do anything with it, don't do it.
Yeah, I was wondering how, like, because I mean, obviously that's his dad. Does anyone know? He doesn't know, but
I know
they
this,
imply it.
But they're not going to do anything with it. You know?
Well, he's going to be in other movies, so maybe they will.
Is he? I don't think so. I just don't think so. I think they.
Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch are going to be in the next Avengers.
I doubt it. But that's the weird thing is though, I so doubt they're going to cross over X-Men and the Avengers because they've shown no interest thus far in doing that.
I don't know. Because that's.
That opens up all sorts of weird doors if they do that.
But they showed. I mean, like they showed people experimenting on him in one of those after credit clips. Remember?
I guess you're right, but like that.
Like they didn't do anything with Wanda at all. So
they've never done that until now. Is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And they've never mentioned mutants ever.
I know, but
until now.
Like I cannot see like if they implied they were going to be in Avengers. I don't see how they could have used him in this without if they're not going to cross it over.
No, I know. It's just that if that's the case, it's really, really weird that in none of the other Marvel movies, Captain America, Iron Man, any of them, they've never once mentioned mutants.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. Because you'd think that would be a really hot button topic when it comes to...
in every other Marvel movie I've seen, I keep expecting to have like at least implications, like you see a newspaper with something on it or something.
Is he a mutant? Yeah, whatever. Because that's a big topic in the Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's one of my favorite moments in comics is Spider-Man has been thrown into the bay for some reason. He's in the water, and he's drowning. He's like, help, help, help! And this fisherman comes by in a boat. And he's like, hey, who are you? And he's like, help me, I'm Spider-Man, come over here and help me. And he goes, are you a mutant? And he goes, no! He goes, oh, okay then. And so he comes and gets him, so implying if he was a mutant, he was going to leave him drown. And I'm like...
I have powers, but they're...
Yeah, he goes...
technically not inborn.
Yeah, because he has powers.
So then it's okay.
Yeah.
As long as you get your powers from radioactive spiders or... serums or aliens, it's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're born with them, no, fuck that shit.
Exactly. There'd be otherwise.
You belong in a death camp.
There'd be absolutely no other way to tell.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Are you a mutant?" No. Okay. Here you go. If you just said yes, though, nah, fuck you, drown.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but
anyway.
So then we have to say goodbye to Quicksilver, which depresses me. I'm trying to figure out.
He goes back home to his mother.
Yeah, at what point does Magneto turn heel on that one, or does he ever turn face? Oh, then they go into a plane, he freaks out. Basically, that's when they go find Trask. Yeah, for no reason, Mystique goes and steals she goes to Vietnam and tries to, and sets free those other mutants in the
Which is a really kind of unconnected to anything else scene.
It's that scene that was at the end of Spider-Man for no reason.
Yeah, where she goes to Nam and frees the people who are going to be sent to Trask Industries for research.
Who get sent there anyway.
Among them being Toad. They don't get sent there anyway.
But that's...
You see Toad later, he's fine.
No, but remember those pictures in the file?
Those weren't those people.
Weren't they?
No.
Oh.
No,
Okay.
those were completely different mutants.
Well, I'll tell you the reason that scene was in there was to introduce Stryker.
Mm-hmm.
Who, he was... I did... You said the acting was up and down good in this movie. I hated this guy.
I didn't notice him. He wasn't in it enough for me to care.
He was all over this movie, really, but he just kind of sat there and sneered.
Mm-hmm.
He was just like, "Yeah, I will have Logan," and I'm like, whatever.
I didn't even get that from him. He just kind of seemed like he was there, like furniture.
That's what I mean. Is he's supposed to be? It was like they were trying to build him up as like this big menacing Boba Fett type character, and I'm just like, he's just there. He's a dude with a taser. You know, I don't know. I'm like, I get it. You're the guy behind Weapon X. Kiss my ass. You know, like, I just don't care. I just did not like that character. He just seemed like he was set dressing for the most part. It's a minor complaint. I admit this, but like, anyway. So yeah, she goes. Mystique kind of bounces around, doing espionage crap. Anyway, very very long story short, she goes and tries to kill Trask. They stop her, and then Magneto goes ape shit, just ape shit. Really interestingly shot scene. Not sure if I liked it. Where like half of it was shot Zapruder style. That handheld crank camera style, where like, you know, Mystique gets shot and Magneto starts. This is another really violent scene. This is what I'm talking about. Where okay, they stop Mystique from shooting Trask. Then Magneto grabs the gun and is like, holds it at Mystique's head, and they're like, "The fuck are you doing?" And he's like,
"It's the only way to be sure."
Yeah,
basically.
He's like, "There's only one way to guarantee our future, and that's to blow our fucking head off." And they're like, "You out of your fucking mind?" He's like, "Oh yeah." And so they're like, they try to stop him. She dives out the window. He fires, and of
course he can still direct that bullet.
He curves the fucking bullet.
But since he can't see her, he just hits her in the leg.
Hits her in the leg. She hits the ground and starts to run. He does his Magneto floaty thing, like he's Jesus. He has to do this, by the way, like he's Jesus. And then pulls her to the ground and pulls him towards her by the bullet in her leg.
Ooh, that had to hurt.
Again, this is fucking horrible. That's... wow. That's violent. Then, Beast, like, tackles him, slams his head against the concrete fountain, and then manually drowns him over the course of 3 minutes.
Yeah. Again, while cameras are rolling.
While cameras are watching, and he's like banging his head against the bottom of the fountain, like, "You motherfucker!" Like, drowning him. Like, this is fucking violent, I'm telling you. Wow! That's all I'm saying. Okay, so... and I don't even know what the other guys are doing. And that's when Logan freaks out because he sees Stryker and fucking stabs Kitty in, like, the side.
In the future.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, he sees Stryker and then he just starts freaking out and... You
gotta have a zen mind.
Yeah, they tell him you have to be calm, otherwise we'll lose the stabilization or what the fuck ever. So he freaks out.
You lose your center. So
in the future, on his slab, he starts thrashing and stabs Kitty, and she has to stay there while she bleeds out because she can't stop. And
she
loses.
Then
for a while, he stops freaking out in the past, but he doesn't know who he is or where he is at the time. He's like, "Who are you? Where am I?"
That was I don't know. Whatever.
And Charles is just like, "What?
Yeah, what the fuck is going on?
You've been doing this for like a week. What is? You convinced me."
I don't know, Bob. But look at him. Anyway.
But then he's fine.
Whatever.
He gets his cool back, and then he remembers everything.
Like, Magneto then just kind of floats away because his back of his head fucking hurts. Somebody fucking drowned me. Ow.
Mystique finally gets away by shape-changing into an old guy. And
yeah, the news latches onto this because that whole scene was fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, it was a big blue motherfucker, and then...
But again, like, just like in Spider-Man, I think we've just established now that Marvel crowds are idiots because they all just stand there.
Yeah!
They're watching a big blue monster fight a floating man and a blue lady getting shot, and they're all just like, let's stand here real close and watch this.
And by the way, the floaty guy was literally throwing cars. He was like, "Huh, huh,
yeah,
huh, huh, welcome to die."
Yeah,
and I'm like, what the fuck?
Like,
guys, run!
And these weren't like war zone reporters with like lighter cameras. These were people with like tripods and shit.
Yeah, there's one guy with this.
There's
one guy with a Zapruder cam, and the guy's like, "Welcome to die," and like.
Nobody runs.
I'm like, motherfucker, get out! Like,
I mean, they finally do, and that's how Mystique, gets into the crowd. But still,
like when the guy starts like,
get out of there, you dumbasses!
like, as soon as gunfire starts erupting, my ass is gone. Now these guys are like, whoa! Shit. So they're trying to figure out where Mystique is going. Like, you don't know. Why is that even a mystery where she's going? She's going to kill Trask.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, they...
Like, maybe she isn't.
Yeah, they have this whole scene where they're trying to get Cerebro to work. Like, they don't know where she's going.
They finally convince Xavier to get off the junk, and...
Yeah, that takes forever.
Yeah, and to go use Cerebro, and he's like, oh, I'm rusty, I haven't done this in a while, and he tries it, and it, like, he blows it up. He just fucks up Cerebro with his whatever.
I'm amazed they didn't give him a psychic nosebleed.
Yeah, I'm surprised
classic.
they didn't.
They should have. That was a classic... That was a softball moment for a psychic nosebleed. Didn't do it. Damn you. No, but they're like...
So in the beginning, he can't find her, and then
he does.
Wolverine has to give him a motivational speech, and that's when he does the
It was a good
look
speech.
into the past and talks to his Patrick Stewart self.
Yeah, that was through the telephone of psychic links.
It was a good speech, though.
Yeah, that was like...
Very motivational. That's
what I was talking about, was it really should have just been Xavier. And I was like, it was this weird telephone link.
Yeah.
Where it was like, please wait while I connect your call.
Yeah.
It was like, Xavier, Logan, Shadowcat, Charles. And I'm like, whoa! Through time. So it was not only like long distance, it was long distance through like 60 years.
Yeah.
Like, wow! This is meta. Like, chrono meta. Whoa! And apparently, okay, whatever. So
then he gets his confidence back, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna try this again.
So they're like, duh, wow, she's going to kill Trask in DC. Duh!
Why didn't we figure this out?
So they go to DC, and sure enough, she's there to kill Trask. And this is where we see... This is where we see the Purple Sentinels.
Yeah, they're not as classic as the big lumbering pinky purple ones, but still, they were a little more familiar looking at least.
This is where the movie
gets... They look like robots.
Yeah. This is where the movie gets weird. And mind you, I like this movie, but this is where the movie gets weird.
It does get kind of weird.
Because now I'm going to try to explain what happens at the end of this movie. And I don't know if I can.
Well, first off, we forgot about the part where Magneto,
Right. This is the
part where it gets
Go
weird.
ahead, please.
He, gets to the train that's shipping the Sentinels to the White House for the demonstration. And he pulls up some train tracks, strips them into, Twizzlers.
Right.
And then sends, threads of metal into the Sentinels.
Yeah.
Which made sense to me at that time, because I thought, okay, he's gonna, puppeteer them.
Yeah.
He's he can move them.
That's what I thought. Right.
That's not what happens.
No.
When he gets there, after uprooting a stadium for some reason.
Yeah, I'm getting there, yeah.
But we'll get to that. That's not what happens. He's not puppeteering them. He's actually, working their programming somehow.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense.
No.
It would have made perfect sense if he had been, puppeteering them. If they were going to shoot at him and he just makes their arm move. That would have made great sense. I would have understood that, but that's not what they did.
Okay, so let me reiterate what this scene was like. First off, this scene was terribly shot, where he's on the train. He stands on the train, which apparently is moving at 2 miles an hour because there's no wind on top of this train.
At all. Maybe we could say he's got a magnetic shield up or something. But
sure.
Come on, there should have been flap his hair a little.
His hair wasn't even moving. It was maybe there was a grip with a little handheld fan, a little teeny one, because his hair.
One of those little ones that you hold up your ear.
But if you're on top of any kind of train at speed, your hair would be
Yeah, he was wearing a coat too. It should have been moving.
His coat should have been billowing, and I'm this stuff. I noticed this stuff. It bothers me.
Yes.
But this is stuff that anyone would notice.
Yeah. I noticed it too. He wasn't.
This was a really poorly shot scene. But so yeah, he starts ripping up the train tracks behind them, and I'm the fuck are you doing? And then he starts loading it into the Sentinels.
Like stripping them thinner and thinner and then wiring it through.
And I'm like, the fuck are you doing? And then I had the same thought you were, and I didn't say anything. And I was like, maybe he's doing it to where, like, he can move them.
Yeah.
But no.
Because, like, the whole thing was that they were made of, like, polymers or something.
Right.
So they weren't made of metal.
Which
so
was,
you put metal into them, which
right.
made great sense to me.
Right. Which was another thing that doesn't make sense, where he's like, Trask goes like, well, you can see here, there's a mutant which can control metal, which, I note, all of your weapons are made of.
Mm-hmm.
But not to worry, my sentinels are made of a space-age polymer. And I'm like, that makes no sense.
Did we have any space-age polymers back in 1970-something?
I'm sure we did. But I'm like, you can't have, like, a computerized machine that doesn't have any metal in it.
Yeah.
Like, how...
The brains would have at least had to have metal.
Like, you have to have some kind of processor that has metal, but I'm like...
Are there any, like... I mean, there are non-magnetic metals, but I don't think any of them are the ones you need for computer processors.
But I'm like... But now we're getting to this thing where, like, look, do you want an X-Men movie or not?
Yeah.
We gotta have Sentinels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like... You had to... But this whole thing, we're like, oh, space-age polymers, whatever. So we got Sentinels. Whatever. But so he starts loading this thing with the shit, the metals, and I'm like, okay. But then when it comes down to it, these Sentinels start attacking, and then he starts, like, giving them verbal orders.
Mm-hmm.
And then they obey.
Mm-hmm.
He's not controlling them with his Magno powers. He's reprogrammed them.
Yeah, basically.
By
Except at one point, then they go, like, revert, like they're pointing him out as a mutant. But I don't get it.
They don't target him though. They don't fire on him.
Yeah.
Or do they? I don't think they ever fire on him.
I think they fire.
But no, he looks at one and he's like,
oh, they only do that because it shows he's a mutant and then Richard Nixon is actually Mystique.
yeah.
That's why they did that.
But yeah, he gives them verbal orders and they obey, and I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm pretty sure magnetism can't do that.
But yeah, apparently shoving metal up the Sentinel's ass reprogrammed it. And I'm like, okay. So there was that scene where he's looking at the schematics for the Sentinel,
mm-hmm.
and I thought he was just doing it to, like, understand that there was no metal in it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, apparently he was learning how to program them.
Mm-hmm.
And to program them, there's like learning basic or shove metal up its ass.
Yeah.
This makes no sense.
Oh shit, they run on Pearl.
Yeah, it's Pearl is shove metal up the computer's ass. It would have made more sense just to have him like, you know.
Yeah, like puppeteering them would have made more sense.
And we've shown that he is absurdly talented at multitasking this stuff, so it's not like outside the realm of possibility. Cause we see him suturing his head shut
from behind, no mirror,
without a mirror,
while watching film that he's holding up himself.
Yeah, so he could do that anyway. So the second thing that happens, like I said, there's a lot going on here. That's the first thing that doesn't make sense. The second thing is, this takes like 5 minutes for this to develop before we finally know what the fuck is going on. He flies in, he makes a special trip to like demolish a government building to get his helmet.
The Pentagon again.
The Pentagon, okay. He breaks into the Pentagon again. At great risk to himself, by the way, because they all have plastic guns.
Mm-hmm.
Plastic guns. To get his helmet back, specifically, he has to get it because Charles will fucking control his mind.
Yeah.
He has to get his helmet back, and he gets his suit back. I don't know where he got that, but you have to dress like Magneto.
Yeah, of course.
You have to.
He went out and had a new one made.
Right.
He knows a very good cosplay shop.
Right. So then he goes to a ballpark, and he picks it up.
Mm-hmm. He just fucking uproots the ballpark.
He's like,
although he was nice enough to do it while nobody was in there.
True. But I'm amazed they didn't have Stan Lee as the groundskeeper.
Yeah, he wasn't even in this.
Can I help you?
Yeah.
Well,
has he been in any of the X-Men?
I don't think so. These weren't made by Marvel Studios or whatever. It would have been great, though. Can I help you? No.
Yeah.
But yeah, he fucking deadlifts the stadium with his magnetic powers, and you're like, the fuck is he doing?
Yeah, what do you do? Where are you going with this?
And over the next 5 minutes, you just kind of see him, like, floating with the stadium, and it's like got like this epic Carmina Burana music. It's like and like then we cut to Xavier like scanning the crowd with his powers looking for Mystique, and they're like, I can't find her, da da da, and he's like coming towards the he's
going across playground and stuff, and little kids are looking up.
Yeah. So like I said, 5 minutes pass. He's coming towards.
He's going slow enough that you think they'd mobilize the Air Force or something.
No, I'm like, if there's anything else, they're not going to see this coming.
Mm-hmm.
Who expects the fucking baseball stadium to be?
Somebody would have seen it. It wasn't that close.
But who anticipates this? I mean, is what I'm saying. It's like, oh look, there's Petco Park coming out. I don't even know what the local stadium is. But yeah, then we cut to the future where the Sentinels are attacking. Then we cut to the past. Da, da, da. Magneto's looking all like badass, like, yeah, this is going all according to. Da, da, da. So finally, like, everyone looks up and they're like, what the fuck? And then he drops the stadium, like, on top of the White House.
Yeah, around
it.
Because he's got only the outside of the stadium, no bottom.
And then you're like...
So he's made a big fence around it.
To make a wall around the White House, and you're like, oh!
yeah, with that moment, we're like, oh, that's what he was doing.
And I think that everyone is like, oh! That was a long way to go for a little bit. And...
it worked.
I guess.
That.
But he's just... You imagine he's sitting in the airport going like, I'm going to build a wall around the White House.
What do I do here?
He felt like such a badass.
And of course, half of it falls on Xavier.
Yeah, he's like, I paralyzed twice.
I know, I'm double paralyzed.
God
damn it.
Damn. Fuck.
You ass.
Eric, you ass!
Why were we ever friends?
If I ever get that helmet off, I'm gonna fuck you up so bad. I'm gonna make you feel like you're a 12-year-old girl.
Anyway, the president, which is, Nixon.
Nixon, like the most cheesiest Nixon.
I did not like their Nixon. I've seen way better Nixon actors. He didn't.
This was the worst Nixon.
He was not a good Nixon.
Okay, he wasn't the worst Nixon, but he was really bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was intentionally a bad Nixon. That's how bad he was.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was a deliberate choice or not. But anyway,
No, it's worth dwelling on because this was a shitty Nixon.
Yeah, even I noticed that your Nixon's bad, that's a pretty bad Nixon.
They had to get that.
And then, they all have gone into the Oval Office and hit the
panic room.
The panic room, which of course is made of solid steel.
Right.
So Magneto just tears it out because obviously he can tell there's a giant room made of steel in there. Rips it open like a can of sardines.
Literally, unzips the.
He unzips it.
And he's like, he's giving his sick temper, tyrannous speech, and blah blah blah. Mystique comes out.
Mystique was in there.
I thought it was going to end with him just gunning down Mystique and being like, "Oh my God, what have I done?" But that's not what they do.
No, that's not what they do. She, for some reason, stops him.
Yeah, she shoots him in the throat.
Yeah. Like not all the way, like in the side.
Yeah,
enough to surprise him, so that he basically drops everything he was doing.
Yeah,
so
wings him.
All the guns drop, the Sentinels stop puppeteering and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then she kicks him in the face.
Oh, wait. First off, before this, Wolverine tries to stop him.
Oh, yeah. This was pretty gross, too.
This is another thing I'm talking about.
But again, yeah, there was still almost no blood.
Strangely, yes.
Strangely.
So, yeah, they're going to try to find Mystique. This is rewind a little bit. So they're going back and they're trying to pass through metal detectors, and there's a funny moment where he passes through a metal detector and it doesn't go off, and even he seems surprised.
He's got the bone claws. He's like, wow.
Oh, this never happened. That was
not used to that.
But yeah, Magneto's wrecking shit, and so Logan starts charging him. And so he's doing the whole Darth Vader thing where he's like throwing shit all over him. And so he's swatting stuff aside, and finally he hits him with like a 6,000-pound block of concrete.
With the steel bars in it.
Yeah, so he starts just throwing rebar at him and just impales him like 12 ways with rebar.
Yeah, curved around to keep him, like, so you can't just pull it out.
Yeah, so he not only impales him with the rebar, which is fucking just grotesque, and then he starts like pins him to the ground with it, and then starts twisting it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like curls it around him.
Yeah.
And then like makes him like not only twisting it to like pin him down with it, but like to make him hurt.
Well, I think it was because he knew damn well that if he could just pull it out, he'd heal right away. So
right.
he had to do like elaborate wire wrapping on him like he was a pair of fucking earrings,
right,
so that he couldn't pull the stuff out and just come after him again.
And this is another really, really violent fucking scene.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
And
then he picks him up,
throws
him into the ocean.
Honest to God, I thought what he was gonna do, because he picks him up and like holds him in the air. I thought he was gonna like quarter him.
Oh yeah.
I thought he was gonna be like pick him up and be like, so you're a survivor, huh? And then like rip his arms off.
Yeah, like I think this for this part, it's like his own lack of creativity is let him survive.
If this was an R-rated movie, that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
Because that would have been on the level of like ripping out the adamantium off his bones. That would have been like fucking horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see, because that would have been on the level of like Hulk ripping him in half.
Yeah.
That was almost evocative of that. Was kind of like that. Because that would have been a cool image of him like taking the rebound.
I even said that though when he gets flung in the water. I'm like, Hulk ripped me in half once.
This is nothing, motherfucker.
Bye.
Fuck you, Bob. Ow. Anyway,
so for the rest of this movie, Wolverine's out of the picture.
Yeah, he's pretty much done.
Yeah, he's drowning. And he just drowns. That's it. That's all that happens.
Yeah, puts him down.
Yeah. So then it's all up to, basically, Charles convincing Mystique that she doesn't want to murder Peter Dinklage.
Yeah. He's like, he's going to be so great in Game of Thrones. So great. He gives her the Captain Kirk speech. Mm-hmm. Think of the things we could achieve.
Yeah, he's like, well, come on, we have to show them a better way. And she's like, fine.
And she's like, we've pretty much shit the bed, Charles. Magneto has fucking dropped a baseball stadium on the White House.
Yeah, and all the there's still cameras, which in fact Magneto points towards them so that everyone is watching this.
And
they're showing this on the news. They're showing people watching it in bars. They're showing Pietro watching it with his little sister on his lap and everything.
This is what I don't get about the X-Men sometimes. Is Charles's blind, witless optimism, where he's like, we can show them a better way. We can convince them that we're here to help. And I'm like, you just dropped a fucking baseball stadium on the White House. Mm-hmm. You dumb motherfucker. Mm-hmm. They're not gonna buy it, okay?
Apparently they do, though.
Like, I don't get... They're gonna be like, oh, they'll just think it's Magneto. I'm like, no, fucker.
They do, though. That's exactly what, like, you see the newspaper and it's like, search intensifies for criminal Magneto.
Somehow. Like, that's such bullshit, though. Like, they're already deathly afraid of every mutant everywhere. You're telling me that they drop a fucking baseball stadium on the White House. They have a guy in a fucking red cape, like, sick temper tyrannus with, like, fucking guns floating over the... He rips a vault out of the White House with the president in it, and, like, there's a blue chick drowning in the fucking fountain and shit. Like, and you're gonna tell me, like, we're not all bad. We're not all bad. Even though we can fucking demolish the White House at our whim, but it was just this one guy. We're good. And I'm like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. We've shit the bed. It's over, okay? Like, we're fucked. We are fucked. We cannot spin this.
Apparently they did, though. Because then the movie ends and everything's okay.
We cannot spin this. The Sentinels are coming, man. If there's one thing that came out of the Ultimatum crossover that I pretty much said was that I went, yep, pretty much, was like, after Magneto did the whole ultimatum wave that wiped out the Eastern Seaboard, they do this thing where, like, everyone is dead. Fucking everyone on the East Coast is dead. You know, Xavier is dead. Cyclops goes to Capitol Hill to do this thing where, like, he's trying to do, like, a civil rights type thing. You know, he's trying to give a speech. You know, he's trying to do what Xavier would have done. You know, he's like, I know anger is high, I know tensions are high, but it's important to realize that, you know, we're here to rebuild. You know, not all mutants are evil. You know, this was the actions of one extremist. You know, as before, you know, mutants are, you know, we're people just like you. And just to interrupt him, a sniper blows his fucking head off. And I'm like, what do you expect? The fuck do you expect, man? A mutant just caused a tidal wave that killed millions. And then you have the balls to stand up in front of a crowd and be like, all mutants aren't bad. We're good. Like, fuck you.
All Germans aren't bad.
You don't do that. You don't do that the day after a tidal wave knocks out fucking millions of people. You just don't do that. It's not safe, man. Like, it's like...
Okay, his timing was definitely bad.
His timing was bad. Real bad.
But we should get back to the movie.
No, I'm talking about the movie. Like, I just dropped a fucking ballpark on the White House. And then you're like, we're gonna talk him out of them thinking us mutants are bad people. No, you're bad people. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Plus, the chick who allegedly saved the president was pointing a gun at his head not 10 seconds before doing like... She's pretty unstable. I don't think you can spin this. I think you've lost this one, Charles. But apparently they win this.
They won it.
So, like...
And then everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Well, then, like, it's like, in the future, they hit the moment where the Sentinels are about to, have broken through, and everyone's about to get laser face vaporized. And then, of course, that happens. And then, ta-da, everything's fine. And then Logan wakes up.
The retcon wave begins.
Yeah, Logan wakes up and he's back in the school for gifted youngsters, and he goes out and there's kids in all the halls, and for some reason, I don't know why my eyes pointed this out, but there's just one random girl dressed in, like, Japanese Lolita clothing. I don't know why. She had the little tiny hat and everything. It just struck me as really odd. But, I mean, you get a 10-second glimpse of Rogue holding hands with Bobby.
Oh, God.
I don't know why he's even there.
I hate Rogue so much in these movies.
Yeah, I miss actual having good powers Rogue, but...
Why did they never give Rogue any powers in these movies?
I don't know, because they didn't want to introduce Miss Marvel, I guess.
They didn't have to give Miss Marvel. They just have her latch onto somebody, give her fucking powers. I don't care.
But anyway, he's walking around and everyone's okay, and there's Kelsey Grammer's Beast.
It was the only one. He's the only character from the other movies I even, like, remotely marked out for.
And then, of course, he's walking, and I'm like, I know what's coming. What's coming. And then he sees a redhead, and there's Jean.
She's
so
terrible.
not only did they fix the future, they retconned, like, the second and third movies, too.
I'm so glad they did that, really. Because Jean Grey dying and then not dying is, like, the most funny part of the entire X-Men comic series.
Yeah, I actually kind of appreciated it in that that's very true to the X-Men.
She's never dead.
She's never dead. And he's like, Jean. And Scott's like, whoa, hey there, buddy.
No! Bad Logan!
Don't touch my lady, son.
And I'm like, I was like, that felt right to me, even though I hated those movies. But anyway, I thought that was,
I liked it for some odd reason.
Yeah.
Like, even though I don't like the lady who plays Jean Grey, but I liked
Neither
that.
did I. Strange.
I liked that she was there.
Yeah.
And I'm completely fine with them obliterating the third X-Men movie because I fucking hated that movie.
Oh, the Juggernaut, bitch! Well, you didn't like that? Why didn't they bring Ray Park back as Toad?
I don't
I don't know. They had him look completely different too.
Yeah, he looked different. I don't know. Weird.
I remember. This is a minor tangent, but I got an email, and I have no way of verifying this. It could be bullshit, but I had somebody email me saying that Ray Park had actually seen my King of Fighters review and liked it. So again, could be bullshit.
If it's true, though, that's really awesome.
He liked it apparently because I said he was the only good thing in it, which is true.
Which is true.
I liked it, Ray. If you're watching, good stuff. You should have been in this movie.
Yeah.
You'd have been great.
There would have been nothing for him to do.
You could have kicked some ass. Hey, you always kick ass, man. Anyway.
Whatever. But that's the X-Men Days of Future Past movie.
If I want, I know it seems like I've been bitching about this movie a lot, and I'm going to bitch about one more thing in this movie. Beast, the Beast costume or the Beast effect or whatever you want to call it is terrible. It is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It is so bad. It looks like a Halloween costume.
Yeah, the young one anyway.
Yeah,
which is weird because then you see him later and he looks better.
It looks so much better with Kelsey Grammer.
Future Beast looks so much better. I don't know why.
Like the Future Beast.
Are they still implying that? In the comics, the reason Beast looks that way is because he was using drugs to try to make himself more normal or something like that, and then it fucking backfired and he became blue and weird. Is that what they're implying is going to happen at some point then? That he stops looking normal altogether and just looks blue all the time because he's not taking the drugs anymore? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's taking suppressants, but in the Kelsey Grammer version of Beast, he's got a lot more mass. Mm-hmm. He's got the fur all over his head, and he looks so much better.
Yeah.
You'd expect him to look.
Yeah, he looks like Beast.
But the early version, it just looks like a guy with blue crepe hair glued all over his face.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a blue version of someone from The Howling 2.
Yeah, it looks bad. It looks embarrassingly bad.
I didn't notice it as much just because the scenes where he's in are moving kind of fast. So.
I guess.
But maybe that's why, you know.
And when he's hulking out, he's doing this really embarrassing thing, and
yeah. What is up with that?
And I'm just this is so bad. Really, I don't think it was the actor's fault. I don't, but it's the whatever effect they were going with, they had nothing. It was bad in First Class. It was bad here, and I don't know if they were trying to go for consistency or what, but they needed to go. They needed to pick something out where he needed to gain mass because Beast is a big fucking guy, at least in the comics.
Even when he was human looking, he was huge. He was a linebacker or a quarterback in high school. He was huge all the time. The point, he was called Beast even before he was blue. He was just a really big, huge guy.
Let me put it this way: Hugh Jackman dwarfs this guy. Mm-hmm. He dwarfs him,
which is just weird.
And I keep saying I'm sorry. It's a habit I'm trying to break. When you see him naked in this movie, he is fucking built. Mm-hmm. And I remember hearing something about Hugh Jackman. His diet, he works hard to maintain that physique.
Yeah, he eats something 8 plain boneless, skinless chicken breasts a day.
Yeah.
All protein and lean meats.
You have to work hard to maintain that physique, just clanging and banging in the gym like crazy, and you have to maintain this really strict diet. When you see him in that movie, my God, that guy is dedicated to that workout, man. Because Jesus, that's fucking hardcore. When you see him in that movie,
yeah,
and I did it again. Sorry, I'm working on it. Bad habit, but. Beast should not be the scrawniest guy in the room.
No, they were going for, they were going for stereotypical nerd. And the point of Beast was always that he was this gentle and intellectual guy despite his appearances, despite the fact that he's a huge, brutish-looking dude. Yeah. That was the entire point of Beast from the very beginning. And they just went with typical scrawny nerd for some reason.
Well, they say that he's got more. That he's stronger than he looks, but he should be huge. Especially if he's doing this thing where he hulks out, he should get huge.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Meh.
It was just me. One thing if I go on another tangent, if I may, I wanted to analyze the Trask character a little bit, where I remember the Stryker character was talking about, like, wow, you must really hate mutants, and he's like, no, I admire them. I was kind of going back and forth on this character, because I don't know how he's portrayed in the comics, because, again, haven't read them. Do you know much about this character in the comics?
He's from what I've seen, he was mostly very fanatical, kind of an asshole.
He's just kind of an ass.
Nowhere near as charismatic as.
Is he a dwarf?
No.
Okay. I thought that kind of added a dimension, and I could be crossing a line here, and I hope not. But I thought maybe it added a dimension to his character, perhaps by casting Peter Dinklage to here, because it's interesting to wonder why he hates mutants so much, or if he says that he doesn't, because his fanaticism really says something about it, because he otherwise seems to have no reason to be so fanatical about it. Because he's like, why? He even doesn't really have a reason to admire them so much. He says something about, like, he says he admires them because he's like, we need something to unify us as a species. And I'm like, that sounds noble. It also sounds like bullshit. And I'm like, I'm trying to think of. It seems almost like resentment, because you said something in the theater where he goes, like, you say, well, you're a mutant too, dude.
Yeah, like, well, technically, dwarfism
He's a
is
dwarf.
a genetic mutation.
He's a dwarf, and I go, that's interesting, man. That's fucking interesting. And I go, that kind of seems like...
If they had presented that would have made a lot of sense.
That kind of seems interesting, man. And I said, this is where I was thinking, like, am I crossing a line here? If I say where this could be kind of an...
Maybe he's mad that he got the only, like, a mutation that involves no magic powers.
That's what I'm talking about. Is this some kind of case of perhaps some kind of self-loathing that he's managed to finally maybe, like, externalize on this race of mutants? Again,
if they had picked any other actor, though, you wouldn't have got there.
No.
That would not be there.
Certainly not. Certainly not. And I wonder, like I said, I'm almost definitely crossing a line, maybe, of bad taste. And I apologize if I'm doing so. But...
Yeah, it's nothing, nothing against little people. It's just,
No.
I'm just pointing out that...
No.
Technically, that is a genetic mutation.
No.
So he's a mutant just as much as the mutants are. He just doesn't have cool powers.
But I'm not casting aspersions on Peter Dinklage. I'm saying, like, from the characterization of Trask as a dwarf in this movie, I'm wondering if that's a valid analysis of the character to say such a thing.
They never said anything like that effect.
Certainly
so
not.
This is just pure conjecture.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying, is I'm speculating, like, is it valid to maybe speculate that part of the reasons he might despise mutants so much is kind of an externalization of his self-loathing, frustrations, perhaps.
Fan fiction writers, take note. This is a good angle for you. Because that's what we're getting into here. That would make for good fan fiction. That would be a good thing to explore.
This is where our rambling tends to explore.
Fan fiction?
No, just rambling on about possible character motivations. But this is where I thought this maybe was where the movie had some depth. So, my final analysis. This was the best of the X-Men movies. This was better than First Class, which I consider previously to be the best X-Men movie.
Better than First Class, which I hated. Fuck First Class.
I rather liked this movie. I did not love it.
Yeah.
But I rather
liked it enough that I'd watch it again.
Yes.
I'll buy it on DVD when it comes out.
I rather liked this movie, though. I liked this movie. I liked this movie. I will say that with a smile because I said that in an angry tone of voice. I liked this movie.
We both enjoyed it. We had fun at the theater.
Do you want to put that on a loop? Perhaps?
And we're still...
Jesus
I'm still
Christ.
looking... Like, we haven't seen Godzilla yet.
No, we need to, though.
We need to. And I really... is Maleficent out yet? Because I'm really excited for that one. I really want to see Maleficent.
I think if it were, we'd hear about it. We'd have heard about it. Because it's probably going to be bigger news than... I think that'll be big news when that hits. But yeah, we should check.
Yeah.
Because we want to see that.
Yeah.
I think that'll be big news, because that's going to be... I'm fairly certain. Real fast. I should talk about trailers.
Real quick.
Tom Cruise one you have no interest in.
Yeah.
22 Jump Street, fuck that.
There wasn't even a trailer for that.
There was before you came in.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I was waiting on my chicken fingers.
Oh, The Cloud. The sex tape.
Oh, the sex tape.
Oh, it's called Sex Tape. That movie looks terrible.
That looks awful.
Oh my god, that movie.
Like you said, it looks like a one-note joke stretched into a 2-hour movie.
It looks like a Seinfeld joke. In fact, it sounds like a Seinfeld show. Mm-hmm. Do you know what's on the cloud? I put it up on the cloud. Pull it off the cloud. I can't.
Nobody understands the cloud.
You can't pull it off the cloud? What do you mean? I don't know how the cloud works. No one knows how the cloud works. It's the cloud. That's how it sounds. That's literally how it sounds.
Yeah, that looks.
It's the cloud. Terrible. It's about Cameron Diaz and Marshall from How I Met Your Mother. They make a sex video on their iPad, which gets synced to the cloud and apparently shared with everyone,
all their friends and family
on their contact list, who apparently is rather receptive to this news. Mm-hmm. Their family is rather appreciative of this.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if I shared this with my family, they would not admire this. Well, no. They would no. They would not.
No.
Although apparently, from the trailer, they shoot a rather well done sex video.
Yeah. People are like, "Good job."
Yeah, they're appreciative from the standpoint that A, it's well done, and 2, it's like 3 hours long. So they fucking go at it like marathon style.
Yeah.
So.
Way to go.
I mean, if 3 hours is all it takes, we should do one. I mean, like, but yeah, that movie looks fucking terrible.
Yeah, it does not look funny at all. What was the one you said looked funny that I didn't?
Let's Be Cops.
I don't think that looks funny.
This movie looks way better. I don't know why you are so...
because it looks like the typical lol boobies.
It does not. This movie looks way... You said it looked like 22 Jump Street. No way.
Not quite as stupid, but still...
Nowhere near as stupid. Let's Be Cops is... It's about 2 guys who... I don't know why they start doing this.
They go to a costume party.
They go to a costume party.
And then everyone thinks they're cops. And so the other guy decides, hey, I'm going to go buy a cop car on eBay. And
well, no, they don't just decide to do that, but they decide to keep their costumes for a little bit, and people keep thinking they're cops. So, like, they get treated nicely at a restaurant. So they decide to keep wearing their costume because people treat them better. Mm-hmm. And so they keep wearing their costume, and then they decide to, like, let's keep being cops, and then eventually one of them buys a cop car, and they decide to keep being cops and then fight crimes, and so, like, yeah.
Yeah, but all the crimes of the dispatch that they follow are things like, there's a topless woman down on 4th and Main, and they're like, oh yeah! And
that was one... fine.
And then there's another one where they're, like, carrying beach babes and shit. Come on.
All right. I thought this movie looked way funny. Next to 22 Jump Street, fuck's sake.
Next to 22 Jump Street, almost anything looks funny.
This is what I'm saying. This is, honestly, this is the first comedy I've seen trailer I've seen in years that has at all piqued my interest. So at least let me have this one.
Okay.
Okay. Let me put it this way. It's the first comedy trailer I've seen in a long time that has at least elicited a chuckle. So, and it featured a woman getting kicked in the vagina. So, female genital trauma. Woo! That wasn't the scene that made me chuckle, okay? Relax. Oh, come on.
We could still go fight in the street, you know.
I will take you on. You are like a full foot shorter than me, and I have 50 pounds on you. I will bounce you like a basketball, woman. Okay, we should wrap this up because we're gonna go have a street fight.
And I'm gonna win.
I like this movie,
I did too.
so I don't want to hear shit about how I hate everything. Until next time.